Finally, it's draft day or draft day eve.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Trozian, and this is RamView, the April 23rd, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair, having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. All right, we're here. Eve of the draft. I got a feeling we're going to sit down and we're going to watch the Rams trade out of the first round, right? I just got a feeling. Could be wrong. Kind of keep our eyes on everything, but that's my feeling. But before I break down all this different stuff, there's a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff to just rehash, go over. But since I think the end of January, beginning of February, across the board, different organizations, CBS, Sports Illustrated, ESPN, NFL Network, Draft Network, NFL.com, some obscure sites. I think we've studied and relayed about 30 mock drafts this offseason, at least since the start of February. And so I went back and I looked at those mock drafts and I thought, who is the player that has been mocked to the Rams the most? And the name that came back when I started adding it up was Josh Conerly. Josh Conerly has been mocked to the Rams the most, the Oregon tackle. Right behind him is Josh Simmons. They are 1 and 2. And then tied for third, Kentucky cornerback Maxwell Harrison and Ole Miss cornerback Trey Amos, Jihad Campbell from Alabama, Jackson Dart, and then twice each for Isaiah Bond and Matthew Golden, the Texas receivers. I just thought that was kind of interesting where the trending was. I thought the trending when I'm looking at the draft moved from offensive linemen, and I don't know if this was based on Havenstein declaring he was coming back or that being officially confirmed, but there was a trend that moved from offensive linemen into receivers, tight ends when they're there, and then, of course, cornerbacks, and we've had all of our discussions about that. The one that's not kind of factored into this, is Charles Davis's last mock draft for NFL.com. Let me see if I have that here. I pulled it out. I'm going to be so happy when I get to free my screen from all these this draft info stuff here. There's so much of it. I mean, just tons of draft information that we've all gone over. Let's see here. All right, yeah. Charles Davis from NFL.com. He has Cam Ward going number 1 in the draft. Okay, I think everyone figured that one out, right? Cam Ward's going number 1, but then he doesn't have another quarterback going in the first round. He has them all going in the second round. I thought that was pretty interesting, and that he would only have one quarterback going in the first round. In that mock draft, he also had the Rams taking Ohio State wide receiver Emeka Ikabuga. I've seen him mocked once to the Rams, but I thought that was kind of interesting because his stock has risen the last few days. Also, he had Mason Taylor, which was really interesting because I don't know what came first. Out working, doing my stuff, and then I noticed that Mason Taylor, the LSU tight end, who's been a third-round guy this whole time, just took a meteor ride up to the first round, and Davis has him slated going to the Eagles at number 32. I was blown away when I saw that. I thought that was pretty interesting how he's climbed the charts that fast. And you don't know, is that someone just passing along misinformation or whatever? But I think we're going to see a lot of that kind of stuff in the next, 24 hours. Let's see here. USA Expat, this has to be the most unpredictable Rams draft I can ever remember. I have been following the team since the 1960s. I started following the team in 73 full-time, picked them up in 72. I think the deal about this draft is that the Rams have so many needs on the surface met. On the surface, everything looks okay outside of maybe linebacker and then, of course, corner. If everyone stays healthy at corner, if you got into this next season, Kobe Durant stays healthy, if Akilla Witherspoon stays healthy, if Darius Williams stays healthy, if Darian Kendrick comes back and contributes, if Emmanuel Forbes plays like an NFL corner, maybe not a first-round corner, if all those guys just do their job, on the surface, everything on this Rams team roster looks right. So you're almost just drafting best player available. So it is kind of like, man, what are they going to do? And so that's where I lean towards they're going to trade out of the first round. USA Expat, all those mocks were all fed misinformation. I think so. Some of them are kind of crazy when you look at some of those mock drafts and some of the players. Mansour Delane, I haven't even seen his name since week 1 or the first week after the Super Bowl from Va Tech, and he was projected being a first-round pick to the Rams. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff there. Josh Farmer from FSU, defensive tackle, was mocked going to the first round of the Rams. Bill, Giants rumor is interesting, having the Rams trading the 26 to the Giants for 39 and 90. So we've already got 90. So what would that be, 91 or 89? I'd be curious to see because, yeah, Giants, I imagine there's a lot of talk about that for Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, that a lot of teams want to trade back or trade back into the first round late, and that might be a good deal for the Rams. I'm down with all of it, man. I'm down with all of it. Manny Correa says they're trading back. USA Expat, Giant rumors seems like a bad deal. What I don't get about the Giants is they've got Burns, they traded for from Carolina, or they signed from Carolina, signed from Carolina. They got Thibodeau, and now they want to go after Abdul Carter. That one I never made sense. I like Abdul Carter. I'm not saying Abdul Carter is a bust. I'm just saying you need these offensive players. And the teams like the Browns and the Giants, they need offensive players. And I give them credit for the patience if they, all the words going on around about Shedeur Sanders right now. But it seems like you got to take a swing at a quarterback. That's how I would feel. And then maybe it is trade back a little bit. If you want Jackson Dart, say you trade for you trade out of the number 2 slot, move back to number 12, let somebody grab Travis Hunter, and you take Jackson Dart. I don't know. I think it's going to be really interesting. But I think with a lot of Ram fans, we're going to be sitting there with our pizza and our food. And we're going to see, I'm going to come on the air tomorrow night after the draft, give me about 10 minutes after the draft ends. I'll come live and we're going to say, wow, what do you think the Rams are going to do on Friday? Because it doesn't look like they're going to do, I get the feeling they're going to trade out and not do anything on Thursday. That's my feeling. All right. I posted this column on what is it? Mid-Valley Sports. Sorry, I shouldn't say it like that. MidValleySports.com. And it's just a look at the Rams' recent draft history. And you might want to check it out if you get a chance. You could probably bring it up concurrently with us. I'll put it here in the box here. I think I'll leave it there in the box. There we go. And basically what it does, it talks about how the last 3 drafts for the Rams have been a series of home runs, and a key reason why the organization continues to compete at such a high level, right? 2022, no one knew it at the time, but in the 5th round, you got Kyron Williams, and in the 6th round, you got Quentin Lake. These guys are valuable starters, standout starters for the Rams. In the 2023 draft, they took Steve Avila, Byron Young, Kobe Turner, Puka Nacua, and don't underestimate Ethan Evans, the punter. And then last year's draft, Jared Verse and Braden Fisk. All 9 of these guys are starters, contributors, even standouts as you see them play. Now, those are the standouts they got. But in this last draft, in these last 3 drafts, they also got Kobe in 2022, Kobe Durant, Darian Kendrick, who I know a lot of people don't like, but he started a lot of games for us. Warren McClendon in 2023, Davis Allen and DeJuan Johnson. Now, those guys aren't big names, but they've been contributors for us, contributing quite a bit. And the book on 2024 is still wide open in terms of Blake Corum, Cam Kitchens, who made plays, Josh Carty, who made some kicks, Jordan Whittington, who people are expecting a lot out of, Bo Limmer, and then, of course, Tyler Davis. So that book's not closed. 3 drafts, 9 standouts, 11 contributors. That's 20 players on this roster. That's pretty incredible. That's pretty incredible. Now, if you take a look at the Rams drafts from 2000 to 2010 to 2010, that's 11 drafts. 11 drafts. The Rams, between that time, they drafted 86 players in the top, overall. They drafted 86 players overall. Out of those 86 players they drafted over the course of 11 drafts, only 4 were impactful long-term starters. Steven Jackson, Chris Long, James Laurinaitis, Roger Saffold. Jackson's a Hall of Famer, but Chris Long, James Laurinaitis, they're contributors. They're starters. They weren't standouts. Borderline starters and contributors, standouts and contributors would be Ron Bartel, OJ Atagwe, Pino Tina E. Samoa, Richie Incognito, Adam Archuleta, Ryan Pickett. They were starters, but not game changers. But that's what? 4 guys. That's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 guys. 10 competent players out of 86 players drafted over the course of 11 years, right? Top 100 picks in between 2000 and 2010, 39. Top 100 picks, 22 through 24, recently, 7. The Rams have been amazing. They've done in 3 years more in 3 years than what the Rams could do in 11 between 2000 and 2010. I just think it's amazing what they've done there. Pretty incredible. I think we've just, all that time too, from 2022 through 2024, only 1 number 1 pick. Here's the number 1 picks from 2000 to 2010. Trung Candidate, bust. 2001, Damian Lewis, bust. Adam Archuleta played out his contract, went to Washington, ended his career after 1 year there. Ryan Pickett, who wasn't spectacular for the Rams, allowed to leave after his contract expired, had a decent career in Green Bay. Robert Thomas, linebacker in 2002. 2003, Jimmy Kennedy, defensive lineman, flopped. 2004, Steven Jackson, Hall of Famer, okay? Or should be a Hall of Famer. 2005, Alex Barron. Hurts to say that way. 2006, Ty Hill out of Clemson, cornerback. 2007, Adam Carricker. 2008, Chris Long. All right, but I think he was number 2 overall, but Chris Long was good, but he wasn't impactful. 2009, Jason Smith. 2010, Sam Bradford. Now, Sam Bradford, we could say the injuries did him in, the coaching did him in. He inherited everything this organization had done the previous 10 drafts before he got there, but I think Sam Bradford would even fall into the category of a bit of a disappointment. So check that out. All right, let's see. Gilbert Gonzalez. Hopefully the tight end, wide receiver, linebacker all fall in the draft, and we get 3 or 4 studs to help our team. That was the thing last year. Remember, everybody went offense, 13 or 14 picks? Everybody went offense, so it pushed players like Dallas Turner, thankfully went to Minnesota, and a guy like Jared Verse fell to the Rams at 18. So, yeah, I guess, the draft itself sets the tempo, right? You can think a certain draft has a DNA where I think Daniel Jeremiah says this draft is full of starters, just not stars. You could think it could go accordingly, but we've seen teams panic. We've seen teams make a rush. We've seen things change that no one foresaw. The first 12 or 13 players last year all being offensive, or Bo Nix or J.J. McCarthy going so high. So it's exciting to see how it does play out. Manny Correa, either Philly or Jacksonville are the trade back. All right. USA Expat, forget where we draft. Just get everyone to throw out a name. Okay. Manuel Correa. Forget everyone throw a name like just, hey, who do you want? Is that what you're thinking, USA? Manuel Correa, New England also. Yeah, New England is interesting. Boy, they did a lot of work on defense. They got to get some weapons there for Drake May. Bill, did you watch the McVay-Snead pre-draft press conference? I have not seen it yet. Snead said they were in discussion with the Dolphins about Ramsey. Could be before or after the draft. Wow. USA expat Atlanta rumor has them now chasing Ramsey. Yeah, I thought that was I thought it had faded, but that'll be interesting to see if it plays out. I'm all in for it. I'm all in. But again, how much does Jalen Ramsey have left? I still think he's a good football player, but we're not getting the shutdown corner. And again, Darian Kendrick, Kobe Durant, Darius Williams, Akilla Witherspoon, they're all going to be free agents next year. All of them are going to be free agents again. So we're going to be right back. We have to draft a corner. I'm really, and I say the royal we have to draft a corner. All right. I'm Joe Terosian, as a sports writer for 21 years. Still am. I post on Mid-Valley Sports now. I contribute there. I don't run things over there. Peterson and Barker run those things, and I just contribute. So you can check out that Ram link that I put in there. Look at the Ram draft picks this century. I think it's pretty eye-opening with some of the stuff the Rams have done. I do this thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law. Thank you so much. And I write books. My books are on Amazon. And we do appreciate your support because it keeps me supported in my day job. I pastor a small church in Burbank Faith Nazarene, and you can follow us right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual, burbankfaithvirtual.com, and Burbank Faith Virtual across social media. Also, the audio version of this is called From the RamCave, and it is on Spotify. One note about my books is Amazon reached out to me, and they want to use some AI voices to put my books in audio, and that's kind of exciting. So I'm kind of working on my first book right now. The AI, it's not bad. It's just they don't get pronunciations right? You know, and it's very, there's a certain way we talk in the San Gabriel Valley, and AI doesn't quite have that figured out yet. So I'm working on getting those pronunciations right and stuff. It won't sound great, but I'm looking forward to getting that book out, Tangent Dreams, in audio. It was probably my best-selling book. All right. Let's see here. Manny Correa, Ramsey's salary wouldn't be until next year's cap. Yeah, it gets heavy next year. It doesn't get heavy this year. It's next year. And then USA expat, my crystal ball tells me no Ramsey to the Rams. Is that your crystal ball saying that, or is that your heart saying you don't want this reunion, right? And I understand if you don't want this reunion because I think it comes with a lot of moving parts there. Let's see. Emmanuel Vasquez, Ramsey and Witherspoon would make a good tandem, provided Witherspoon can stay healthy. Hey, guys, yeah, Manny, let's remember this. Witherspoon in 2023 played great, and then he faded in the back half of the season. We also know in 2024, Rams didn't sign him until the injuries hit, and he really didn't start picking up all that playing time more and more until we got to midseason. He is not a 17-game, 18-week corner. He's just not. He has to be paced. I like him, but to tell you the truth, I like Kobe Durant and Kobe Durant and Darius Williams a lot better. I like Williams if his snap count, Witherspoon if his snap count isn't high. And again, a developing Emmanuel Forbes solves all these questions, right? That's the question that's going to happen. If the Rams skip on a corner, even if they make a deal for Jalen Ramsey, if the Rams pass on a corner, that tells me that they got some faith in Emmanuel Forbes. That's where I'm going with that. Yes, he played the last half of the season hurt. Yes, he did. I thought he played great. I do. But isn't it funny how nobody seems to want to kill Witherspoon? He was a late signing going into 2023. Nobody wanted him all last offseason, and then he's out there for the Rams to take, right? He's an interesting character, but I like him. I have no problem with Akilla Witherspoon. All right, let me look at this real quick because no news is breaking. Everyone's keeping their powder dry. Last year I put this out, and it's Rams history. Who was the guy that went to Tampa Bay? He was drafted out of Pittsburgh. The Buccaneers took him. And I say this for a reason. The Rams got Aaron Donald out of the University of Pittsburgh. Some of you may remember they got Sean Gilbert in the 90s out of the University of Pittsburgh. But a guy who's turned 64 years old today is a guy also the Rams got out of the University of Pittsburgh in 1981. His name was Greg Meisner. He turned 64 today, so happy birthday to him. Meisner was a third-round pick, 63rd overall, strictly a blue-collar guy, 6'3", 265, played 100 games for the Rams between 81 and 88. They got great mileage for a third-round pick. But the Rams had a tendency. They kept going back to the well. Oh, we got Meisner, we went to Gilbert, and then we really struck gold with Aaron Donald, right? And I just say that because look what the Rams have done this in the past with TCU and some other schools in terms of like who they like Travius Hodges Tomlinson out of TCU, same draft as Steve Avila. There was also the TCU draft where the Rams took Trayvon Howard, and they also took Joseph Noteboom in the same draft. There was the 2017 draft. They took Cooper Kupp out of Eastern Washington, the same place where they went and got Samson Ebukam, Eastern Washington. So there's a lot of, there's just a lot of symmetry there with the Rams and who they take. And I bring up the Greg Meisner thing because last year the Rams not only went to the well with Jared Verse, they went back to the well with Braden Fisk, and there was a lot of talk about Azaria Thomas, the corner. Now, I don't want him in the first round, but if the Rams got a feel for the character of the players out of a certain school, just keep an eye on that. And for that reason, because of the similar schools they go to, I thought it was interesting. Last stat on that 1981 draft, the Rams took they took Mel Owens with the number 9 overall pick out of Michigan. Now, the 7th overall pick there was Hugh Green. That's the guy I really liked. He was out of Pittsburgh as well. But Mel Owens went 9th overall to the Rams. I just saw today that he's going to be on The Bachelor, or the Golden Bachelor or something. So Mel Owens is alive and kicking. Mel Owens did a solid job for the Rams, but in that 81 draft, the players taken after him, safety Dennis Smith, USC, the forgotten safety out of USC in the 81 draft, who should be a Hall of Famer, and Hall of Famers Mike Singletary, Howie Long, Ricky Jackson, and Russ Grimm were all taken after Mel Owens in that 1981 draft, just to give you an idea of what it means to, you miss in the draft sometimes. It really comes back to haunt you. Of course, the greatest Ram ever never played for the Rams, Creed Humphrey. And I'm waiting for that one to start up again if this whole center situation doesn't get worked out with the Rams. Okay, let's see here. Gilbert Gonzalez. If Dolphins pay half of his salary and send them a fourth, then let's see what we can. Oh, absolutely. I'm there, Gilbert. Absolutely. Manuel Correa, Gilbert, Miami eating most of his salary. That would be terrific. Tim Burns, nice draft column today. Thank you, sir. Rams have done really good on draft day. Yes, they have. We're going to actually share a couple of thoughts from the movie Draft Day here in a minute. Just want to hear your guys' thoughts first. Manny Correa, I want Thomas Findone, Nebraska, for our tight end. All right. I think he's going to be there. It's interesting, man. I think the Rams are going to take a tight end. I don't know if they're going to take, the big two. I don't think they'll get a chance to. I can't see Colston Loveland getting past the Chargers. Manny Correa, either Francisco, if Francisco Mauigoa ends up with the Rams, I'm going to do something special for you. I don't know what, but I'm going to do something special for you. I still owe Manny Vasquez a mug. Or is it Micah? I'm sorry. I got your email. I'm sorry. I owe you guys a mug, but my health thing derailed me. And then, of course, Justin Barron. All right. Let's work through some of this around the NFL and other places. Bears legend Steve McMichael passes away at 67. Died of ALS, long battle of ALS. That is tragic. It's awful. It's horrible. But I'm going to be a little snarky here. When you saw Steve McMichael play, did you think he was a Hall of Famer? Did you think he was a Hall of Famer? I'm just curious to know what you thought, because I didn't think he was, right? I didn't think he was, but there you go. I mentioned NFL.com, Charles Davis's draft. Had the Rams taking Emeka Ibuka, the Ohio State receiver, at 26. So that one's interesting. This one's also interesting for Ram fans. Lions extend safety Kirby Joseph. I think you guys all know who Kirby Joseph is, and I know how you feel about him. They extend him 4 years, 86 rocks. I think presently he will be the highest paid safety in the NFL. So chew on that. And then, of course, first NFL game as we're looking at calendars. May 13th, May 14th, the NFL schedule is released. That's when we find out the when and the where. We know the who. And so looking forward to that. But also July 31st is the Hall of Fame game in Canton featuring the Lions and the Chargers. And so wanted to put that out there for you guys to see. All right, working my way through here. I don't know if we're going to get to 50 minutes tonight because there's just not, everyone's waiting for this. Hey, okay, let's do it now. I was going to hold it off to the end, but let's do it now. Have you guys seen Draft Day? I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen Draft Day, right? We've quoted it before and everything. Just raise your hand if you've seen Draft Day. Just raise your hand. You guys think about raising your hand, and I'll do this day in Rams history.
It was a stone groove, my man.
All right, born on this day, 1959. Greg Meisner, actually, well, he's turning 66 today. My bad. And out of Pittsburgh, 11 years in the league, 8 with the Rams. Rams got a lot of clicks out of him, a third-round pick for 103 games. We're not on. Well, we are on the air tomorrow, but we're going to be on after the draft. Do a brief show after that to talk about who the Rams may draft on Friday. On April 24th, 1973. Lance Rensel pleads guilty to marijuana possession, and the NFL ends up suspending him for the entire 73 season. He comes back and plays with the Rams in 74. On April 24th, 1988, the Rams sent a third-round pick to the Redskins. For the Redskins' third-round pick, Rams' pick was at 66. The Skins was 82. So the Rams moved back 16 slots, but they also picked up a fifth-round and a sixth-round pick. That fifth-round pick was safety James Washington out of UCLA. James Washington gave the Rams some good clicks, and, of course, he had some really good years in Dallas. Also, same day, April 24th, 1988, Rams sent a fourth-round pick to the San Diego Chargers for Pete Holohan. Pete Holohan, one of my favorite Ram players from that generation, loved Pete Holohan. He gave the Rams 2 really good seasons, and then they moved off. Draft day, 1988. April 24th, Rams drafted Aaron Cox, Arizona State, bust. Gaston Green, number 14, bust. Anthony Newman, number 35 at safety, out of, I think it was Oregon. He was good, but, not transcendent. Fred Strickland, number 47. I liked Fred. He always got hurt. Flipper Anderson, number 46, and Robert Del Pino at number 117. Flipper, of course, was great, and Robert Del Pino, unfortunately, his best years were lost in the early 90s when everything was falling apart. Let's see here. Looking at Rams signed free agent Tony Horn on April 24th, 1998. And then, good draft day trade. On April 24th, 2004, the Rams send number 26, which they have this year, and number 123 to the Bengals to move up 2 slots and take Steven Jackson, 24th overall in the 2004 draft. Now, that was a good deal. 2005, April 24th, Rams 7th-round pick, 250 overall, Ryan Fitzpatrick. There you go. April 24th, 2020, Rams signed A'Shawn Robinson and Leonard Floyd as free agents. Leonard Floyd was a big deal because he had been a first-round pick that people were thinking was a bust, but A'Shawn Robinson felt kind of under the radar, and Robinson wasn't, how can we say it? I don't think Robinson played every snap. I mean, he might have been on the field, but he didn't play every snap. But he played well in the Super Bowl, so I've always got a soft spot for him. And then maybe the weakest Rams draft in the McSnead era, depending on how you want to view it, in 2020, April 24th, Rams took Cam Akers, Van Jefferson, Terrell Burgess, and Terrell Lewis. Terrell Lewis had the build, didn't have the eye of the tiger. Terrell Burgess was playing well, had an ankle injury, and never amounted to anything. Van Jefferson, we realize he's not a number 3, he's a number 4, and he's still bouncing around the league. And Cam Akers is still bouncing around the league. Now, Cam Akers did give the Rams some moments. And they won a Super Bowl with him in the backfield, although we don't feel that same affection for Cam Akers at all. And then tomorrow, Vince Ferragamo, April 24th, 1954, Vince Ferragamo was born. Vince Ferragamo, believe it or not, turns 71 manana. That is unbelievable. All right, let's get back here. Let's see. Tim Burns. McMichael was worthy of a discussion for the Hall. Personally, I have no issue with him being there, but I wouldn't have voted him in. I think that's fair. Wilbert Gonzalez. Rental was a bit of a wasted talent. Seems always in trouble. You're talking about Gilbert. You're talking about Renzel. You know, Rams made that deal. Renzel was a really skilled receiver throughout the 60s, but he was at the end of his line. He had some health. He had some personal issues that were kind of not so good. He had a biography out there that says, "When all the laughter became sorrow, when all the laughter turned to sorrow." We used to have that book in my house. I read some of that. I didn't read it all. I'd love to get my hands on it again. Manny Vasquez. Jackson was a beast. Still have his jersey. He played on a lot of bad Ram teams and didn't get the recognition he deserves. I'm all in on Steven Jackson. Absolutely. All right. No one made any mention about Draft Day with Kevin Costner when that movie came out. You know, I didn't even see it at the theater. I don't know why I didn't go to see it. I think I was just thinking this is going to be really stupid. And then it was on, I could download it. I downloaded it and I watched it. And I just had some random thoughts. If you saw Draft Day, you can probably watch it online now. I thought they pushed the genius of Jennifer Garner a bit too much. I know I'm being chauvinistic here. I'm going full Tim Burns. But I just thought, you know, don't they forced trying to show us how smart she was. I'm a football girl. I'm a Cleveland girl. I know football. I'll always talk football. And yeah, sorry. Run along, Camp Snoopy. I wasn't buying. I also find it hard to believe that an NFL GM would have given an ounce of time to anyone on draft day, even his girlfriend that he got pregnant. Also, if your GM is, to put it politely, knocking up your cap person in the office there, you know, that's just bad mojo. Sonny's flirting with a lawsuit, man. Bad news there, Sonny. Bad move. Sonny's lucky to keep a job. The trade for Bo Callahan is not 3 picks for 1. Remember, it's a draft day swap. So the Browns go from number 7 to number 1, and then they provide 2 first-round picks, not 3. And even then, I thought they overpaid. I thought it was a bit much. I think someone did a draft value thing on there, and it came out really negative towards the Browns. You know, because it was a movie, I was cool with the improbability of Vontae Mack going in the first round. That's the story. I did like the whole note that says Vontae no matter what. I thought that was kind of cool. I did like Dennis Leary's line when they showed the whole film clips of Vontae Mack playing at Ohio State, right? The sacks and everything. And then they show him giving the ball to his sister and then getting thrown out of the game because he touched the ref and all that kind of stuff. And you know, Kevin Costner says, you know, that's not his girlfriend, that's his sister. She died a couple months later of cancer. And then this is like the almost honest line in the movie. Dennis Leary, at the learning of Vontae Mack's sister dying of cancer, says, "Boo freaking who? We're running a football team here, not an after-school program." And I just thought that was so edgy. It's like so insensitive. It sounded like something I've heard in a football locker room or I've heard on the sideline. But no one cared. I literally heard a coach one time say, "Hey, get the first down. Don't worry about getting hurt. We'll just put someone else in for you after you get hurt." Of course, he dropped in a whole bunch of F-bombs in the meantime. Speaking of the F-bombs, of course, I did like the line about, "Come on, say it, you pancake-eating mother." You know, yeah, that line was pretty funny. That line was pretty good. That was a well-written line. I thought the War Room personnel could have been better cast, you know? I thought those guys were all posers. I didn't buy any of those War Room guys. They stated the obvious, made surface conclusions, and you don't even have to know one personally. I knew a baseball scout. I sat next to a few scouts covering baseball. But the way all these scouts are, these guys are so invested. They can tell you anything and everything. And what they are doing, especially in a draft room like that, those guys are the ones that should be informing the GM. They should already know everything because they've done their groundwork. And then, of course, the GM makes the final call. And I thought all those guys, they just miscast, or the writing was poor or something there. They were just, you know, they just weren't very good. I thought it was pretty. Overall, I kind of liked the movie. There are a few moments there. I did like when Tom Michaels gets up and he calls him at the crack of dawn. He says, I'm just sitting here eating my pancakes, thinking off, moving off number one. I thought that was just a great line. I love that line. I just thought it was a great line. And then, yeah, the pancake line. Actually, I can't remember how to break it down, but I remember at the time I liked it. I thought the deal that Dennis Leary had worked out with the Bills to trade for the first overall pick, I thought that was a pretty good deal. And it was, Sonny Weaver's vanity that, kind of put the kibosh on that. Curious to know what you guys think. Let's see. Tribe. Joe, I'm hearing they don't love anyone at 26 and are leaning towards trading down for more picks. I think that's a great move. I think it is. I think if they take a corner at 26, it's now the Barron kid, he's not going to be there from Texas. If he's still there, okay. But I don't think he's going to be there. I don't think Will Johnson from Michigan is going to be there. So if they're not there, I think those other corners, Trey Amos, Azaria Thomas, Maxwell Harrison, all these guys, Chevelle, Manny's guy, all those guys are going to be available between picks 35 and 50. Move back and get a fourth pick in the first 100 and make day two memorable. They've done this before, right? We've seen the Rams do this. Rams have a lot of success on day two, and then go and get your starters and then go get your stars in free agency, right? And let one of those starters develop in there. But yeah, I think it would be a reach. I do. I really, really do. Tim Burns, my draft, Igabook. I knew you liked him. Zy Alexander, Quinn Ewers, Etienne Kaiser from Notre Dame, Oronde Gadsden, tight end, Drew Kendall, center, Boston College, Caleb Rogers, offensive tackles at Texas Tech. I did get one sent to me by Mr. Powers from Irvine, who can't watch us tonight. He wrote me. He says he won't be able to watch us till tomorrow. He has a fear about A.J. Akuri being a prominent backup. He says, I know we signed Alaric Jackson to 3 years, but he wants to see the Rams make a move and draft Connerly or that Gray Zabel kid from North Dakota State. Also, he likes Fanning, Gunnar Helm, Ferguson at the tight end spot. He's high on Stutzman and Kaiser. He says, please no Shadur Sanders, no Quinn Ewers. And he also brought up something we haven't talked about in a month or so, and I think you guys gave a stamp of approval on it. At a veteran's minimum, after the draft, because he's still floating around out there, would you give Joe Noteboom the minimum to come back and just be on this roster as a backup to Alaric Jackson, right? So no harm, no foul deal. You're not guaranteeing any money, but depending on what the Rams do in the draft. Right now, I trust Warren McClendon as a backup to right tackle more than I trust A.J. Akuri, although he's been around for a while now at left tackle as a backup for Alaric Jackson. Right now, we don't have a backup for Alaric Jackson. And that's the tricky part. If Rob Havenstein is thinking about, if retirement is in the offing and he's a free agent after this year, you're going to need a right tackle. So are you going to draft a guy that can, if you draft a guy that high, he better play left tackle, right? Or if you really like him, can he flip to right tackle? And even if he doesn't play, you want him to be the right tackle of the future, can he play left tackle this year? Because Rams, we could say, oh, he's not going to get hurt. We know the Rams. Players get hurt. Rams always have guys get hurt. In fact, I want to put this in here real quick. I dug this out. Rob Havenstein quoted about his retirement. It's always something to think about, but no, not this year, he said. I knew I wanted to play this year for sure. Never say never, but I still have a lot of passion for it. I still think I can play. I'm getting my mind and body ready to go once August rolls around. So that's good news. He's got the right mentality for playing. USA expat, going out on a limb here. First player selected by the Rams will be East Carolina cornerback Siobhan Revell. Where are we going to take him? In the trade back, right? Siobhan Revell. Manuel Vasquez. Hopefully they take a good corner and a fast physical linebacker first. That defense is close to being special. Oh, yeah, I agree. And I think we're going to see some stuff out of it this year from the get-go that we had to wait 2 months to see last year, right? Remember, everyone was screaming for Shula's head and all the missed tackles, all the missed sacks, and all that stuff scaled back, and it was really, really good. Manuel Vasquez, for the minimum, I would take Noteboom. He's already familiar with the system, and if someone gets hurt early in the season, he'd be good to go. USA Expat, time to move on from Noteboom. I agree, time to move on from Noteboom, but depending on how things are addressed in the draft, that's a big deal. We don't know how it's going to be addressed because we do not have a backup left tackle unless you count A.J. Curry as our left tackle. He was a 7th-round pick, 3 years ago in 2022. He's spent most of his career on the practice squad. I don't think he's ever played any serious, meaningful downs unless, everyone was injured, and so I get developing him and all that kind of stuff, but do you feel comfortable with him going in as your left tackle? Warren McClendon can't play left tackle. We know that. Warren McClendon is not a left tackle. He's a right tackle. And again, you draft a versatile guy that can play all over, a Donovan Jackson, Ohio State, guard and tackle. Maybe that makes someone like even Warren McClendon expendable. So it's going to be really interesting. And if Noteboom comes cheap, you're going to have to do it, right? I just think at some point you're just going to have to do it. All right. I think we got this in here. I'm trying to think if there's anything I didn't mention. Let's see here. I think we got it. All right. Be sure to check out that column at Mid-Valley Sports. It's just called Ram Notes. I put the link in there, midvalleysports.com, and I think we're good. And none of you guys liked draft day. I guess no one wanted to watch draft day. Watch it tonight. Get into the mood. All right. I think unless you guys have another question, I think we're ready to move on. And it's been a good day. I'm anxious to be back on tomorrow night after the draft, and we'll talk trash about everybody else. Someone's going to come out of this draft looking like a donkey. I got a feeling it's going to be the 49ers. Yes. All right, guys. God bless. Take care. I will see you tomorrow night. It'll be a lot of fun. Bye-bye.